Hi, I'm Amy from Doodle Dog Designs. In this video, I want to make a primitive patriotic flag bowl filler. So I dug through my fabric scrap basket and I found these two. This is a red and khaki pillow ticking, and then this has little stars on it. Kind of look like firecrackers almost. So I'm going to use these two fabrics. But first I want to get them a little grungy. So I'm going to probably go ahead and dye this whole piece. It's not very big, but I'm not going to coffee dye the entire piece of pillow ticking. Just cut off a piece. That should be plenty big. I've got some hot water and a towel to put it on after it's wet. And I'm going to use instant coffee. Got about 3/4 of a cup of water, and then I'm going to put in 3 teaspoons, a tablespoon of instant coffee. Probably won't do much to this blue fabric, but I'll go ahead and dye it anyway. The darker fabrics really just don't show the coffee stain much. It's been about 30 seconds or so. I just let it sit for a little bit. I'm going to take the pieces out and squeeze the excess coffee out. Be careful here. This coffee, it can be hot. And I want to leave it crinkled up, and I'm going to set it to dry. By leaving it crinkled up, it will have more variation in it. If I were to spread it out to dry, it would be all darker, but this should give it some more of a stained look by crinkling it up. The fabric is dry now, so I'm going to go ahead and press it. You can see that really gave it a nice grungy look, and even this, you can see some of the white stars are a little bit darker. I think I'm going to make it just roll it and just do one seam on the bottom instead of a seam on both the top and the bottom. So I'm going to square this piece up and see what size it is then. So my piece of fabric here is 8 inches wide and 7 1/4 inches tall. And I've cut a 2-inch square out of the blue. After I got the flag all put together, I decided that the blue would look better if it was a little bit wider. So I ended up doing it again, and I tore a piece that was 2 1/2 inches wide and 2 inches tall. So now I'm going to hand sew the square onto my fabric. So I folded the fabric over and I chose which side I like the best for the front. This side is grungier, so I'm going to use it for the front. So I want it 1/4 inch away from the top and 1/2 inch away from the edge, and that will allow for my 1/4 inch seams on the side. And then when I get done, it will be 1/4 inch from the side and from the top. I'm just going to pin this on. And then I've got some ecru embroidery floss. I've got 3 strands. And I'm going to open this back up and run a running stitch along here. Just sew it on. Now I'm going to fold it right sides together and pin it. So I'm going to sew the 3 sides, but I'll leave an opening on the bottom for turning. I'm going to clip the corners. That'll just help the corners have a nicer finish when I turn it. I want to get close to the stitching but not into the stitching there. Then I'm going to use this opening I left at the bottom where I didn't sew and turn my flag right side out. Bring it to the iron and I'm going to press it. And when I press it, I want to make sure that my opening here, that the pieces of fabric are folded under that 1/4 of an inch. Before I do that, I'm going to use this tool. It's the end of a seam ripper and it works really well to push the corners out. I make sure that all the corners are pushed out. And then I'm going to press the seams. Again, make sure that the fabric is folded under there in that opening. Now I'm going to stuff it with some fiberfill stuffing. You could of course use whatever kind of stuffing you like. Okay, now I've stuffed it fairly loosely and I'm going to sew the opening closed now. To decorate it, you can just use things that you have in your craft room that you think might work. I have this rusty stars on a wire and I'm going to cut off a piece of that and I'm going to use one star and I'm going to take some jute and I'm going to wrap it around the pillow. I'm going to use the wire on the star to wire it on. I'm going to cut this off, the excess wire here. Got a little strip, it's a piece of cheesecloth that has been coffee dyed and I just cut a little strip of it. And get that so it's under the star. At this point, I liked the flag pillow, but it just wasn't quite right. I tried scooting the jute down a little bit to make it more towards the middle of the pillow, and that's better, but it still wasn't quite right. So I decided that I needed to make the blue part on the flag a little bit wider. So I'm going to take it off. So I tore a piece that is 2.5 inches wide and 2 inches tall. Just going to use the same thread, embroidery floss. This will be a little bit more challenging to do it after it is sewn together, but certainly still doable. It would be fun if you have a rusty star button or something else to put it here instead of, or in addition to, some other decorations. The way you decorate it really can vary based on what you have available in your craft room. So now I'm going to just slide this back on there. This is pretty typical of my creative process. I do something and sometimes have to take it back apart and do it again in order to get it the way I like it. I'm going to poke a few sprigs of Sweet Annie in behind the jute. I hope you found that helpful. Be sure to click the like button and subscribe below. I'll see you next time. Bye.